Welcome. I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up. I made this cute little treat box with products from Stampin' Up. I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. You'll also find links for the products I used. Just click the links for the products that you would like to be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up. You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I made this project with the witch hat stamp, and I planned to use bewitching. I did use bewitching for this project, which is very much the same. And also I used, believe it or not, the same punch for the Santa hat. But I'm not really into spooky witchy things, and most of my customers that come to my workshops are not either. So I thought I would make kind of a fall one. If you do want to make this one, you will want to use the bewitching stamp set with it. I will be using this glitter washi tape, and I use the same glitter washi tape. I used the black and white plaid ribbon, and I used the Essentials tag punch. And you may be surprised, I didn't have a Halloween stamp, and so I went looking. I used the B for birthday. I just inked the B, and then I used the O from hello and stamped that twice to get boo. And with the photopolymer stamps, it was really easy to line up those letters. It was nice of Stampin' Up to put the B at the beginning and the O at the end. Thank you, Stampin' Up. But for my project today, I do not need bewitching. I am going to use the hat punch. I used Charming Sentiments for the Just For You. And if you have another sentiment that you would prefer, that's totally fine. And I'm using the Artistic Mix Decorative Masks. My ink is Mossy Meadow. I will also be using the double oval punch. My cardstock is very vanilla, and it's actually less than a half sheet of cardstock. This is 6.5 by 4.5, and I'll show you how to score it. You will need another scrap of Very Vanilla, and a scrap of Mossy Meadow, and a scrap of Pumpkin Pie. I just grabbed my small layers, which are 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, so that will be more than enough. And for the stitching on my patches, I use the Mossy Meadow Stampin' Right marker. If you don't want to get the whole set of neutrals markers, you can get just the basic black one. Let me show you how to prepare this. And I do have a diagram and all the measurements on the directions. With the short side at the top, we're going to use the light scoring blade and score at, you can score at 3/4, and you can score at 3/4 on both sides, or you can do 3/4 and then 3 3/4. Either way, it's going to be 3/4. But if you want to err with it being a little bit larger than 3/4. And then you're going to score at 3 and at 6. That gives you a little 1/2 inch section. And then I like to turn my trimmer around to the side. This is going to be the bottom of the box, and we want to do a little bit more marking there. I'm scoring it, but I'm really going to be just marking where we want to cut. So we want to put it at 1.5. And we just want to score it from the 3/4 of an inch up to the top. Move it over to 4.5 and do the same from the 3/4 up to the top. And I've turned it around so I can see that 3/4 inch mark really easily. Now we could use the trimmer to do the next scoring. We're going to be scoring from these points down to these points. But I'm finding it easier to use the Take Your Pick tool. This is the way my Take Your Pick tool lives, with the putty for picking up. And then I have the pokey part and my well-used spatula tip. The spatula is really nice if you've glued something down wrong and you slip it under. I definitely need to clean it with some Goo Gone. But for this project, I'm going to actually remove this one and replace it with the stylus. And I find the smaller stylus is better, at least for my hard mat. And I also want a ruler. You do want a little bit of padding, so maybe you've got a magazine or a stack of paper, scrap paper. You want it fairly firm, but not super hard. And so from that point at the end of that 3/4 score line, so from this point, I think you can see it from there, from this point down to this point, where that, so I've got the score line there, and then from here to this corner, if you were using your Stampin' Pierce mat, you would probably want to use the larger ball on the embossing and have a much lighter touch. I'm pressing pretty hard on this hard mat. Okay, so see if you can see those. I'm going to go ahead and crease all of these score lines. And if you use your bone folder and you crease the square ones, and wait for a little bit to do the diagonal ones. We don't need to crease those 1/4 inch ones because we're going to do a little bit of trimming. You are going to want some tear and tape for this project, and I'm putting tear and tape on here on that little 1/2 inch section between the two score lines. And I find that it's easiest to put those on now so that when I trim it, it's going to be matching exactly. You could trim right on the score line and then take the wedge, but why cut twice? I'm going in just inside that score line a little bit and a diagonal to the point, and then these are going to get cut square. So I'm cutting my tear and tape and that little wedge thing all at the same time. I am going to go ahead and cut these. As I said, these are just a marker. Cut all 4 of these score lines. And then every other one we're going to put adhesive on. And I find that the tear and tape is quick and strong. So I don't have to, I could use the liquid glue, but then I'd have to hold it for a little while it dried. This takes a minute or two, but I'm not very patient. And I don't know if you noticed, or I didn't point it out, that this tear and tape is going on the opposite side from this tear and tape. Okay, once you get these flaps cut, then it's going to be pretty easy to crease these because you don't have to worry about going around that corner. Oh, and I wanted to cut here too. And I noticed because it didn't want to fold there, and I thought I skipped something. So if it's hard to fold, you might want to see if you need to do the cut. So on the diagram, I've got the places where you cut in red and the parts that you cut off in gray, and there's blue. I did show the little triangle wedges, but as I said, you can put those all on at the same time. And at this point, I want to decorate the box. I'm going to color it with the Artistic Mix Decorative Masks. There's all these different patterns. There's, I guess you'd call that an arabesque. I'm not sure what you call that. This is the one we're going to use. There's this flower design. And some labels. And it also comes with the inside part. So if you wanted to, for instance, do this and leave a label that was not inked. And then also this one. And we are inking it with the blender brushes, but you can use the paste to get a texture with these. You can spritz and do it really quickly, but I like the blender brushes and they're pretty quick and easy. And I do want to kind of watch this bottom. I do want to watch my crease, and I'm going to put the top of this row here just under the crease. I can match up this V right here, so that's maybe the way to go. It's not really critical, but you'll see the sides together, and it might be kind of nice to have them going together. You do not have to get this totally even. I've got dark and light parts. Whoops. And I just got off, but it's pretty easy to put it back in place. And let me show you what I was talking about. When you look at the sides of it, it would look better if it matched up. And we'll see if it matches up here. So I'm putting the center of these double pieces there with the top of the double things under that lip. And we'll see if this one matches up better. So to assemble the box, so I'm just taking off the washi. I don't know if you spotted that I put 2 pieces of washi tape on each of these tabs here. So I just need to fold that under and fold it in half and press. Oh, and that does match up nicely. I like that. And then you're going to push the 2 flaps that do not have the adhesive down. And remove the backing here. Now the thing that makes it closed is the fact that this is diagonal, so that this part is on the diagonal of the box. But that means that it wants to pull it out of being square, and to make it work best, you want this to be kept square. So square it up as best you can, kind of into that crease, and press. And if you can get one piece down connected, it will be a lot easier. And we'll push that there. Remember that first crease at 3/4 of an inch? If you're a little bit short or skimpy on that 3/4 of an inch, you may have a gap here, but it will not be a huge problem. Now you can open this box up and just a little bit, and it will keep it from getting out of square, and then just press down on that tape. And it just wants to keep itself closed. So that's how to make the box itself and to decorate it, but let's put our pumpkin on it. So I'm pulling in my cardstock, and I want to do the pumpkin. For the pumpkin, I want 3 of these ovals, but if I just put this in here, I will be punching out the scalloped oval, and I don't really want that. So if you want the 3 ovals, you're going to cut it at about 1 1/4, 1 1/2 inches, and then across this way. These ovals are actually pretty narrow, so this gives us enough room to hold on to. Keep at least one of those for a scrap we're going to use in a little bit. We can go ahead and punch out our hat. And then we want to use this side for our greeting. So just for you, kind of in the middle here. And then because the top is already punched, we don't have to worry about cutting that off. Just for you. That's an interesting shape. Looks like you could almost make a hedgehog or something with that. For this piece of Mossy Meadow, all we want is this hat brim. And then also another one that we're going to punch off to the side just so we can get a square for one of the patches. And that's what the scrap is for, another patch. We'll go ahead and glue the hat brim on. And I will go ahead and put glue on the patches. And there's actually a little place that you can see where the hat brim goes. There kind of sticks out a little bit, so that fits perfectly. And wherever you want to put your patches. I kind of like having them going off the side of the hat a little bit, so, and we can trim that off when it's dry. And then taking the fine tip end, just do some little stitches, some little straw rough edges around the bottom of the hat. And if you don't, again, want to have the neutrals set of markers, you could do this with the black. It will be fine. And we can do some stitching marks around the patches. And just trim where it went over the edge of the hat. We're going to take our 3 pumpkin pie ovals and overlap them. And then the third one goes right in the middle. It can actually go down a little bit, get more of a pumpkin look to it, I think. And another hat brim makes a really fun little stem for a pumpkin. And we've got our washi, and I believe this is Old Olive, but I've always liked Old Olive and Mossy Meadow together. So if you just go around, and you want to match up where you're ending with the grid, so it's the same on the front and the back. And we do want to split that. So back to there. This needs to be able to open up. And I have that little goober down here where the mask slipped a little bit, so I think I'm going to put my pumpkin over that. And when you open this, it's going to be kind of bending in the middle here. And so it's going to be best if you put your adhesive on either side of this middle. So we're going to put some glue here on the side so we can put our pumpkin down here. And you can tip it if you want, as long as you check to make sure it doesn't go below the bottom of the box. And we'll put a couple of dimensionals, again, lined up on this hat. And we'll decide where we want that. Maybe like that. It is okay if, actually maybe I'll go up higher. It is okay if you go up into this area. And then just for you goes over here. Then you can put candy corn or any kind of goodies in there. If you're going to make the Santa hat, you just cut off the red a little bit into where the brim goes and then put the brim over it. This punch has stars, and so that makes a nice hat. I used, I forget which Christmas stamp I have that has the sprigs of greenery, but you could put holly leaves or other decorations that you might have. So however you want to decorate, whether you want to make a scarecrow hat a Santa hat or a witch's hat. You can do them all with the hat punch. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free directions and links for the products I used. You can click individual products or the Add All to the cart. You will be able to remove products you don't need or add more products. I have lots of resources on my website. Most of them are free. It's easy to miss some of those resources or to get lost exploring. Let me take you on a quick tour. Just under the banner image are 6 links. Under Shop, you'll find links to the products from Bev, shopping strategies, my frequent shopping points, and a sampling from the clearance rack. Under Inspiration, you can link to scroll all of my projects since 2011. The products may be retired, but you may be inspired by a layout, color combination, or a technique. I have the basics, where I've written about stamps, ink and paper, cutting, adhesives, and my favorite tools. You'll find a link to Techie Tips and an easy link back to my latest post. Click on Getting Organized, and you'll find some of my resources for stamp case slips, product labels, large labels for designer series paper, and more. Case inserts for dies, embellishments, and anything I think might fit in a stamp case, including ink refills. You'll also find color tools and charts, a practically free stamp pad storage solution, tabs and a quick reference for the annual catalog, and plans for toolkits. I have a video of my craft wall and more. Click on Evernote Current Products and you can learn how to share my notebook. This notebook has a note for every current product from Stampin' Up! It allows you to search by color, image, product type, word, phrase, or event, and more. I include French, German, and Dutch names and numbers when available, and the prices for all the markets. Evernote synchronizes on your phone, tablet, and or your desktop or laptop computer, so you can look through the Stampin' Up! Catalog from anywhere, anytime. You can copy my notes for the products you own so you can find just what you're looking for. When products retire, I move them to the Retired Products Notebook, which I also share, and I host a notebook for Paper Pumpkin. Click on Sip Together and then Let's Stamp to come stamp with me or join my Sip Together team. There's also a link to learn a bit about me. The sitemap will help you navigate all these links from one page. And there are quick links along the side of my page. Shop Now takes you to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see the current host code. It would be a great help to me if you use that if you are ordering less than $150. You can click on the current catalogs to page through them online. And then there are my links to my 5 most recent posts. Thank you very much for stopping by and hope to see you soon.